There's only one episode after this, and the show is over for like ever. Please like and share the video, comment below on your thoughts of the episode, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Let's go. The episode starts at a bar where we see Tate's ass all types of drunk. He is hitting on the waitress and looks like he is a drink away from throwing up and falling asleep in his own vomit. He calls someone named Croup and wants him to meet him to do a job. The waitress calls Tate's bro, Kamal, to come pick him up. The next morning, we see Tate's family and everybody is having a good morning. The mood changes when Nate tells everyone he isn't running in the campaign anymore and it's because of James St. Patrick. He sees the news report like everyone else did from the other episodes and gets mad like everybody else did. His bro goes upstairs to get him a change of clothes and the camera zooms on Tate and it looks like that was the last straw and he's cracked. We go to Croup and his son Carter where they are torturing this guy named Frankie. Croup plays some music that makes everything more creepy. They are torturing this guy because he likes to touch little girls. Carter is about to cut his inner leg and his pops is like, "That's not what I showed you. If you cut his inner leg, you might hit an artery and he'll bleed to death." The son cuts off a huge part of his outer thigh and Croup shoots the guy in the back of the head and there's like mad blood and brains that spill on the floor and then Croup shoots him again. We go to Tate and his bro Kamal at the shooting range. His bro says that his shooting is still good and he could put in the word to get him back on the force. Tate says he isn't taking an L and he's not done with politics. Mal says if you're still trying to do this for the people, then cool, but if you're doing this to clap back at James, then that's you showing that your ego is bruised. Tate takes that in and he wants to leave the range. We see Ramona, Loretta Walsh, and Stephen Ott having a meeting and Tate just shows up. He invites himself to have a seat and is trying to convince Ott to let him have another shot. Walsh looks frustrated and tells Tate that you played your best shot and you lost. Bow out while you still have a little bit of dignity. Tate looks at all of them and says, "Fuck all y'all," and leaves. We go to Tate, who is at a church. The Reverend says he's seen the news and figured that Tate would stop by today. Tate is explaining all these reasons of why he's finished, and the Reverend says what's impossible with man is possible with God. Tate says, "Well, tell God to get off his ass and send me a miracle." The Reverend, in a nice way, was basically saying go out there and do something about it and stop acting like a little biatch. Sachs and Rodriguez come in to talk to Tate. He says no interviews with the press. They say they aren't press. They're with the DOJ and want to know if he wants to see St. Patrick behind bars, then Tate seems interested. Tate meets up with Croup and Carter and tells him that their services aren't needed. They are of course mad because they drove all the way up to New York on short notice and want to do the job to get paid. They think Tate gave the job to someone else. Croup says, "Take your pick. Either way, we're killing the mark or we're killing you." Oh, and he says this while he's putting gloves on. Croup and Carter are in the whip and Croup is playing more of his white ass people music. Carter asks why we can't listen to regular black people music like black people do. Croup tries to convince Carter that all this stuff is black people music. He says that the banjo is from South Africa and the line dance is the electric slide. We see that they are the ones that were in the car watching Ghost from previous episodes and they follow him. Tate talks to Ghost at his club Truth, where Tate is trying to calmly warn Ghost, and Ghost talks a whole bunch of foul shit, dissing Tate and kicking him while he's down, which is freaking awesome. Tate goes to a shop to get a cup of coffee and the lady at the register recognizes him and gets super excited. Other people see who he is and everybody wants Tate to sign things, take pictures and selfies, and he gets a lot of love and it shows that he still has a lot of support in his community. Back at his office, it's the one married lady that he used to bang before. She says she's seen his coffee shop stunt online and it could be a problem because it's giving people false hope that he will be back in the race, which is not going to happen. We see Croup and Carter arriving at the spot where Ghost and Tommy were having their argument at the warehouse. They think there's only one person there. They pop the trunk and there's so many guns, like so many freaking guns there. They get to their positions where Croup is telling his son to slow down. Carter gets to where he can see Ghost. He shoots at Ghost and doesn't even take his time to aim, so of course he misses. Carter's gun jams and Croup gets shot by Tommy as they try to retreat. Next, Tate is at his office where he catches Chris trying to get some contact info off a tablet. Tate seems like he understands and throws a coffee mug at his face and he runs off. Dre walks in and says that he has some valuable info about the St. Patrick's, and Tate seems interested. He asks Tate, what does he know about Tyreek? Tate is in his car where he gets a call from Carter, and he is shouting because Tate said there would only be one target for the job and his pops got killed. Tate acts like he doesn't know who the person is on the phone, and he hangs up. Tate talks to Tasha at her shop about James planning to throw Tyreek under the bus. He says they need to do something now before he's unstoppable. She says he's already unstoppable. Next, Tate is taken out to trash where Carter meets him and threatens to shoot him with a gun. Tate told them to stand down and they didn't. Carter says they are going to go inside and he is going to make Tate watch Carter kill his family. Carter gets shot by his brother and saves him. Tate tries saying it was a mugging and the guy looked like he was on drugs. They aren't sold on his explanation because they said that kind of stuff doesn't even happen around here. He gets an emergency text and says he needs to bounce. At his office, all his stuff is being taken away. Blanca is there and says they won't be needing his statement anymore because the judge shut down the case. Tate looks very unhappy. Simon and Walsh show up and they want Tate to give up his endorsement ticket. Tate says no, and hell the fuck no. Walsh tries convincing him, and Tate talks a bunch of shit on how Walsh doesn't know how to stop trying to get black and brown skinned people to support her. She walks off, and Simon looks very disappointed in Tate and leaves. Next, we see the scene with Tate and Dre from Tate's perspective where he gives Dre the stuff that he wanted from the deal of Dre killing Ghost. His bro calls him and wants to pick him up to talk. In the car, they need to talk about the shooting outside of his brother's crib for the official statement. Tate explains a bunch of details, and Mal, as his brother and a cop, knows Tate is not keeping it honest or is leaving a bunch of stuff out. At the station, Tate is questioned by two detectives while his big bro is present. The detectives got Tate's back and gave each other fist bumps, which is awkward. Mal is ordered to give up his gun until the paperwork is done with the shooting outside his crib. He is upset and about to give up his gun when a cop comes in and tells him there's a shooting at Truth and someone is dead and everyone that's here right now needs to go to the scene. One of the cops suggests and wants Tate to come along. In the car, Tate and his brother bicker about what's going on, and Mal is suspicious on how things just seem to be happening since Tate started coming around. Tate says a guy named Dre may be responsible for the shooting, and if he did, he may try to implement Tate. They bicker more, and Mal says Tate is the luckiest motherfucker in the world and brings up this stuff from when they were younger, like brothers that argue would do. They arrive at Truth, where Tate is told to stay in the car, and as soon as Mal is down the street, Tate cocks his gun and gets out the cop car heading to Truth. Press blindsides Tate and talks to him live on the news, where Tate gets the news that James is dead. Tate freestyles this speech that sounds so powerful and motivating while his brother looks on suspicious. Tate quotes the Reverend from earlier saying, "What's impossible for man is possible for God." Back at the Tate household, Walsh reaches out for Tate to be back in the campaign following James St. Patrick's death. Tate is milking this whole thing, asking to be reminded what the offer was, and he wants to hear Walsh say please. He pulls one higher and says he wants to be the one running. She gets super upset, and after hearing Tate's idea, Stephen Ott seems on board and asks Walsh to step outside. She keeps showing how pissed she is, and Ott says if she doesn't chill out, she can catch a cab. She leaves. Tate and Ott give each other a hard-ass look and give each other the Illuminati handshake. We're at church where Tate gives this huge-ass speech on how he is bouncing back and running for governor, and everybody is showing him mad love and support. His catchphrase is, "New York leads the way," and everybody in attendance starts chanting the lines with him. He accepts running for governor of New York and gets a huge ovation. We see Ramona, and her face looks like, what the fuck just happened? Ramona talks to Tate after his speech and says, "You really pulled off the reversal of fortune," and he says, "You should have never bet against me, boo." Leaving the church, his bro gives him the news that Dre is dead and he was burnt to death in his cell. Mal still hints at him being suspicious of Tate. Tate is questioned by the press about bad judgment. He flips the statement and throws Ramona under the bus. He says she is the one that brought James into the picture, and also she slept with James committing adultery. This shocks the press, and then he says a whole bunch of other stuff and bounces real quick. Back at his office, things are looking super awesome. Simon congrats Tate and gives him a check that will hold him down while things are completely running again. When Simon is about to leave, Tate pushes it and wants Simon to admit he was wrong backing up Walsh instead of him. Simon explains, you know how things work, it's nothing personal. And then we see another Illuminati handshake. Next, we see Tate getting lucky with that one girl that used to be married that he used to bang from before. Again. After that, we hear the doorbell and it's Ramona. She barges in and says, "What the fuck, Rashad?" Like, what in the actual fuck? She is super duper mad, and Tate is calm as shit and basically tells her this makes her look bad, and for the future, she's pretty much burned and won't be credible to work anywhere. He says her career is about to be dead as James St. Patrick. She slaps him in the face. Cassandra comes down and Ramona is disgusted and leaves. Cassandra talks to him for a bit, and then he kicks her out of the room that she paid for. Tate sees the news, and Ghost Killer is arrested, and they are 5 seconds from showing us and don't. And that's the episode. I talked about this in an earlier recap video I did, and I don't like that we still don't know who shot Ghost. And there's only one episode left. I feel they should have given us a decent amount of time to know who killed Ghost and be able for all the characters to take it all in and see how the reactions are. And when we find out who shot Ghost, it seems like they're literally waiting to the last second to tell us. As soon as we know who it is, the show's going to be over forever. I think that's like pretty freaking lame. I think that's like whack as fuck. But yeah, like and share the video, comment below on the episode, and how you feel about how they are making us wait to the last episode of the show ever for us to have this huge reveal that we've been waiting to see since the last 5 episodes. Also, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Totally for sure.